Welcome to Hey Podcasters, where we bring live discussion with our podcasters' guests, find answers, and gain new answers to some of the most challenging questions about podcasting. We believe it's the best way to get tips and learn.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Well, I am here. We're still celebrating podcasters. And I tell you, I have someone here who is going to just make you proud because he's tackling one of the toughest jobs up under this terrestrial sun. And I'm talking about fatherhood. So let me announce and welcome to everybody, Sir Royce Briales. Thank you for joining me today, sir.
Thanks for having me, Margo. I appreciate you.
Oh, my goodness. Welcome to Fatherhood Interviews, WTF Interviews. That's the name of your podcast, and you're on with Dr. Raheem Young.
Yeah.
So take us on inside. How did you choose to become take us all the way back.
All the way back. Okay.
This thing of fatherhood in 15 minutes. How
it
did you
was
get into
Philadelphia,
this thing?
born and raised. No, I'm messing with you.
Yes, I got it.
Right. No,
but this thing of fatherhood.
I met Dr. Raheem when we was eating peanut butter and celery sticks. We was in kindergarten. That's how far we go back. So I was 5 years old when I met the man, and we still been friends to this day. We started Welcome to Fatherhood. It's actually a nonprofit organization centered around fatherhood. We basically support dads everywhere. It started with me and him meeting in like a Culver's, and we were kind of talking about different business ideas, different ventures we can get into. Mm-hmm. And Welcome to Fatherhood was basically birthed out of that. I was having my first son, and he already had kids. He had 3 kids already. So
wow.
Wow, let's do something for fatherhood. And literally that night when we had the idea, I went home and Googled it, like for fatherhood in Chicago, and it was like one page on Google. Mm. And you do the motherhood portion of that, and it's like it's 1 million organizations in Chicago for mothers, which there needs to be 1 million organizations for mothers, but there was nothing really for dads. And back then we saw the need, and we kind of felt that with our organization, and we're still feeling that right now. Last year I had the idea, like, hey, let's do a podcast. And I saw the value in podcasting, like reaching out to different people and being an authority in the space of fatherhood. And that's pretty much where it started. Last summer we did our first episode, and we've been doing it ever since.
I love it. I listened in on some episodes, and you guys are not, as my mama used to say, you're not popping your lips, you're keeping it real and answering the questions that people need to have answered. They want to know. And I'm talking about younger men, because Sir Royce, have you found that it's the younger men who really need the mentoring? I mean, this thing of fatherhood is deep.
Well, I think it's a mix between the younger men that need to hear the information and the older men that need to vent. A lot of times as men, we don't really have the platform or the place to really like talk about some of the things we deal with. So what I've noticed is that with the older men, them being able to just talk about some of this stuff has been the most, like the best thing that I've ever seen as far as like, as far as therapy goes. Because I think we all need to kind of talk to somebody about some of the stuff that we go through. And I think the older guys have been being able to tell their stories, have been able to heal themselves in a way, and also lay out a framework for the younger men. Mm-hmm. So it's been like a double-edged sword, but not really a sword, if you will. I can't even say it's a double-edged sword. It's like it's healing all around. Yeah. And I think that's a part of fatherhood that's really not been that's not really been put out there. Like it's a lot of great dads out there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And being able to have those dads speak their minds and kind of talk about what they're going through, it's been amazing. We got some great stories. Oh my God. And we just getting started. Like I can only imagine 5 years from now, like the stories we'll be able to get out of people, just from having our platform. So I'm excited.
Sounds like a book. Sounds like
Yeah,
each episode is the makings of a book. Because some people, we got to meet people where they are. Some people will miss an episode
yeah.
or whatever. And if you go ahead and group them in a book, some people find it. I applaud you. I applaud fatherhood. I'm not taking anything away from mother. I was a single mom. I understand how hard it is. But when you can get a man and a woman on the same page, even if they're
Yeah,
not married, and it's all about the kids, and we're going to go ahead and raise some good kids, that is
exactly.
valuable in this society.
It's
So,
priceless. It's priceless.
man, so you're doing it in Chi-Town, you're doing it in Chicago, Illinois. And some people would say, wow, Chicago is rough and rugged and ready. What do you say? Are you from Chicago? Were you born and raised in Chicago?
So I'm the guy that says I'm from Chicago when I'm out of town, but I'm technically like in the suburbs. Me and Dr. Young, we were raised in Bellwood, which is pretty much like 20 minutes from downtown Chicago.
Mhm.
But when I go, I do my work in Chicago like all the time, and I drive around Chicago. I'm in Chicago most of the time. More times I'm in Bellwood, and I can tell you, it's not as bad as people like say it is. Like it's shootings happen everywhere. Like no matter
Yes.
where you go, where you are, it happens around the corner from you. Like but for me, from my vantage point, Chicago is not really a bad place. It's really the places where they say it's the worst is probably it's the best really. Like most of the violence happens on a few blocks in Chicago.
Gotcha. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you have created a platform and
Yeah,
you've created an opportunity for men, no matter what's going on in the city, the state, the nation, the world, you have created an opportunity for men to be fathers. And that is just, I keep wanting to bring people back to that. At the end of the day, that's what you're
yeah,
offering up to men and making us women better women.
yeah. And Margo, that's what our conversations are centered around. It's I'd say everybody that jumps on the call, we talk to moms too. We talk to mothers.
Mhm.
So it's not just a fatherhood podcast. It's really it's a podcast for people. Like if you really want to think about it, like I'd say everybody that even if you're not a father, you have a dad,
Yeah.
so you can speak to that, and you can speak to that experience, what it was like for you. And I guarantee it's somebody that's out there that's like you that can benefit from your story. So that's how I look at it.
Wow. So you, Sir Royce, you let folks jump on. I know that you all have the conversation going, and it's always a good conversation. And then you open up the phone lines, and people can come kind of chime in and as they say, have their say.
Well, yeah. How we record it, we record it with that person one on one, and then I take the actual audio or the footage and I put it out on social media. Then we have a conversation about the podcast after that.
Okay.
And I'm getting more towards I want to really put the video part out. We have video and we have audio.
Mhm.
But yeah, the video is coming out soon. But the audio is already out there, so we can have a conversation about the audio.
Mhm.
So that's what we currently do right now.
And you guys are well received. I mean, it seems
Yeah,
like the
so far.
conversation. Yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely feeling a need. And when you did that research and niched it down, as we're always told to do on our podcast, niche it down to Chicago, everybody, but to Chicago in particular, fatherhood, you guys ran up on something that is very,
Yeah.
very needed.
But what's amazing, Margo, is the podcast, that part opened us to everywhere. So not just Chicago. Like I interview people from Seattle, from North Carolina, Mississippi. So what's great about podcasting is even if you are in a specific area for your organization or for your business, you can talk to anybody worldwide based on like what you're doing. So if you have a niche of whatever, it could be welding.
Yes.
You can talk to a welder in Toronto on your podcast.
Yes.
You can benefit from that conversation more than anything in the world. Like it was a guy we talked to. I'm gonna shout him out right now. Mike Wilkins. That's my favorite episode. I think is the Mike Wilkins episode. If you go to our podcast list, you look at Mike Wilkins. He has like a civil rights story in his fatherhood journey. Mm. Like he was a part of the sit-ins in Washington, in Seattle, and he talked about that. And even his story with his fatherhood journey was amazing. Like he wasn't a part of his kids' life originally, but he fought to be a part of his kids' lives. Wow. So this stuff like that. I reached out to him on LinkedIn. I never would knew that he would have had that story, but he had it.
Gosh.
And we're coming across a bunch of guys that have similar stories to his. Mm-hmm. And it's been extremely impactful thus far.
My conversation here with Sir Royce Briales. And
son hitting me good today.
He is. Oh yeah, that's son. I know. We're gonna wrap this thing on up, Sir Royce. I just want you to give us some parting words on fatherhood, on your podcast as a whole. How you feeling about this podcast industry that we are a part of? What you think?
Well, I think it's a great world to be in right now, especially right now, and especially if you're doing video. If you're doing video right now, it's even more better because everybody has their phone. Everybody, you walk down the street, you look down the street, somebody doing this on their phone.
You know it.
If you can be a part of this, it's a good time. So keep doing what you're doing. If you're a podcaster, you're an authority figure in your space, because you have experience. So keep doing what you're doing.
People need to hear that part there also, because they also often get caught up on, I'm not an expert. I don't know what to do. You know, you've heard the drill. Yeah. But once again, I commend you. I salute you, because motherhood is tough, but fatherhood is tough. And we put the two together and we are raising up a nation, a generation, and you are leading the forefront on that. So, Sir Royce Briales, I appreciate this time with you. You are one of the podcasters that we're definitely celebrating, and thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing, Margo. It's important.
Thank you.
You're making a big impact.
Oh man, I received that, and I thank you. Because kind after its own kind. How do we say that?
Right, exactly.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. See you on the next interview.
Thank you for listening to Hey Podcasters. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us in your favorite podcast app or connect with us on heypodcasters.com so that you don't miss our next episode. We wish you happy podcasting and see you in the next episode.